Do you feel like the protector of nannies?
I do. Yeah. Yeah.
Hi ladies, hi mamas, hello everyone, welcome back to another edition of Think Like Mama. Today we will talk in detail about one platform that we have here in Dubai that helps moms or dads, parents to find nannies.
Annika is the founder of a Facebook group called Poppins Dubai. This is a group where nannies can find jobs and where as parents we can find the right fit for our children as well.
Hi Annika, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Can you tell us a bit about yourself? Like, how long have you been in Dubai for? How many kids do you have? Do you currently have a nanny?
So the last question, yes, I do have a nanny. She's been with us for 2 years and she's amazing. My name is Annika, as you said, and I've been here now actually 11 years tomorrow.
Wow.
Yeah. And I have 2 wild boys who are 5 and 7. So a nanny is a very important asset in our house.
Yeah, brilliant.
Great. So tell us a little bit about how did you start Mary Poppins Dubai? Which one was the intention behind starting a Facebook group?
Well, funnily enough, it was purely for selfish reasons, because I was looking for a nanny and I was using all the groups that were available online and different agencies, and one of my requirements was purely that this lady needs to have a recommendation from a previous family.
Yeah.
And I found it very almost alarming that so many of these amazing girls did not have recommendations.
Yeah.
And for me it was the key. Like I've been here long enough and you've heard horror stories, but you've also heard great stories. And most nannies actually come through word of mouth. And there was just no platform where this was easy to find. So I started it to find myself one, and I did, and I noticed quite quickly that there was a very, very big demand, and it grew very, very quickly. So once I had found my Mary Poppins, I continued, and it
I can see where the name comes from now.
It kind of grew and grew, and I just couldn't let it go to nothing because I noticed that I had something here, and initially it was for me, but then I also realized that this can actually be a great platform to also help the nannies, because I was also trying to send out a message to them that why aren't you getting a recommendation, because no one is going to hire you, at least on this site, unless you have one. So if you leave a job, make sure you get one, because that will also, not assuming that there's lots of bad ones, but it will eliminate the bad ones, because if you don't have a reference, you shouldn't even be on this site.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of people think it's unfair that you have to have a reference, but that is the criteria for the website.
Yeah.
And that is one of the things you have to have. So there's loads of other ones where they want different criteria. So this is one criteria for this website, that you have to have at least one reference, and it can be either written or verbal. A lot of the nannies say, yes, but my family doesn't live here anymore. You know, there are phones and there are emails, so that is not an excuse that flies with me.
Yeah.
But no, so it started in 2015, so it's obviously grown a bit since then, and
can I say it's 66,000 members in that group. I mean, that's impressive. From zero, we were having a talk before the video, and Annika was telling us from 0 to 66 in what, 3 years?
And that also shows, like we were discussing, that it just shows that Dubai is actually a great market to start companies, and if you find the right market segment, you can easily reach them through an easy portal like Facebook, and the word spreads. And also because there's so many people that move in and out, so the public changes constantly. And even though it's 66, I don't think we have 66,000 users, but I'm flattered that at least people have some way found help through the group.
Absolutely. We were saying that it's also these sort of motives a way to contribute to the community where you live, right? So I mean, I think it's fantastic.
Well, both for the mommies as well as the nannies, right?
For all of us, yeah, absolutely.
I love that you take the side of the nannies quite a lot. I think that's really great, and it's really important because as moms we often, like you say, hear those horror stories and then have fear of embarking on that journey because we feel like, oh my god, and I heard this, and oh my god, I heard that.
Yeah.
What if that happens to me? What if that happens to my child? But there is a second side to this. There is the side of the nannies that are out there and that are maybe also stuck in an uncomfortable situation and don't know how to get out or don't know how to be safe and don't know how to, you know, improve the situation that they're facing. So I think it's great that you're an advocate for both sides, and you seem to combine both.
I feel like we also need to protect the ones that are actually here taking care of our children.
Exactly.
And that's one aspect of it, is that there are no posts allowed on the site that require legal nannies, so you have to have a visa. And I don't allow posts that let you work 7 hours a day. I mean, 7 days a week and 24 hours a day. We try and keep it according to law, and if you don't abide by law, then you cannot be part of the group.
And how do you make sure they meet these requirements? Do they send them to you personally, or
you approve each post?
We do. We vet every single post.
Holy moly.
So first of all, there's a screening process to join the group.
Yeah.
So there's an initial very easy question: are you looking to sponsor the nanny? And if not, then they won't even be allowed to join the group. And if you're looking for a job, we ask them, do you have a reference? Most people will say yes, they will not be let through. So I need a name and a number. I check on these on a sporadic basis. So if I find that they're giving the reference to their mother, they will not get let through. So it has to be an employer, and I need a name and a number, and I need an assurance that you're actually going to sponsor this. So there's another market demand, which is unfortunately not allowed in this platform, which is the need for part-time help, which is massive. And because you actually have to go through an agency with part-time, unfortunately that's not allowed, but maybe sometime in the future that will change, and then that will increase the group even more, because I know there's a lot of people where nannies go home and you just want to help here and there, but because we're sticking to the law, we need to stick by those rules.
Yeah, and I think that's fair enough. You found your segment, and that's what you cater to, and as you say, there are other people who cater to other segments.
Yeah.
So one question that comes to mind when you talk about the references here is that I feel we've all heard those stories about you ask for a reference and you get a glowing reference, and then it comes around and it's just no fit and it just doesn't work and it's not right, and then you find out afterwards that the reference was given because that family wanted to get that person off of their visa or off of the sponsorship. How do you kind of deal with that, and how do you distinguish between a real good reference and a pretended reference?
Well, there's two things I want to say here. The first thing is that we're talking about people here. So just because you get a reference, it doesn't necessarily mean that you will fit.
Yes.
So one piece of advice I have, and that I've always gone by, is the feeling in my stomach, which has always worked for me. I've been here 10 years and I've had 3 nannies.
Amazing.
And we are all still very close, and they've left for personal reasons or whatever, but I've always had this feeling, and then maybe that hasn't worked out, and then I've eventually gone back to that girl anyway, because I just felt. And some of these have had references and other people haven't, which is also a key point I want to make, that sometimes you do work in families where it doesn't work, and that doesn't have to be the fault of the nanny, so they might not get a reference. Unfortunately, they're not allowed in the group, but you can meet someone who doesn't have a reference who can be wonderful. So I just want to put that out there as well, that it doesn't. And I mean, you have to also remember that these girls have to start somewhere. They have to start one time without a reference. So going with your gut feel is one piece of advice, which also kind of allocates to the second piece, is when you get these false references. When I talk to people and I vet them, I can quite quickly hear if they're honest or not. And I mean, if I were to talk about the nannies that I have, I would praise them and give them love like I would my child, almost, to say that I want really them to come into a good home and I would make sure that they're going to a good home. If the only thing is you want to get rid of them, you would just say, she's great at laundry, she's great at kids, we're getting rid of her because we don't need one anymore. There's a very if there's no emotionality behind, usually I would. And then you also have to, if you have a good feeling and their reference is good, and trial period is very important, and just the gut feeling between yourselves, I would say.
Yeah.
How do you deal with the trial period though? Isn't that something that's a bit tricky here as well? Because technically then which visa are they on, and how does that fit in a legal framework?
Yeah, in the legal framework, the way you do it is actually to start the process. Now, you can start the process, and usually you have a time limit within the medical has to be done. So what I do, and this is for both of our sakes, is to allow that time to be as long as possible, and that is your period for trial,
3 months,
which you are paid for, which you are legally allowed to work. Exactly. Yeah. It just allows a cheaper way to actually get out if you need to, but also again for both. And this is what you should be careful of. And you know what, we're going to do this trial period, and at the end we're going to sit down and say, is this working? Should we go ahead with the medical and the visa? And that's also when the big bucks come out. So don't feel rushed into doing the visa right away, because you don't need to. And then you also, it's not a year visa, it's actually 13 months visa.
Yeah, that's a very good point actually, because when I remember when I was first inquiring into the whole process of hiring a nanny, I thought it's a big amount of money. Yeah, so it's roughly around 10,000 dirhams, So you have to be well prepared and plan in advance if you're planning to hire someone. And I thought this bulk of money, it would have to be put the moment that you decide having a nanny, bam, 10,000 dirhams. It's not like that. It's actually divided through the process. There is a moment that is a bit of a big money that you have to put down, but like you said, before that there is a whole process in between that allows you to know, is this the right person? And you don't end up, if it's not the 10,000 dirhams, like maybe
2-3, I think.
Something like that. Yeah, which is a super good point, you know, for maybe moms that didn't know that.
And I think that time is very sufficient for you to know. Unless you're dealing with a very extreme case where you know, you have
pathological.
Yeah, exactly. No, like psychopaths who just flip the minute the visa's done. But it's a great tool to use.
Do you have any sort of recommendation on tips, I would say, how to post being a nanny and being one of the moms or father looking for a nanny?
I'll take the easiest first, and that is to people who are looking for nannies. I would be very explicit in what you are looking for. The more detailed you are, the narrower your target becomes.
Okay.
The problem that we have on Mary Poppins is often as some of the ladies are quite poor readers and writers and don't always have access to emails. So one issue is you'll find is that people just post their numbers. So you end up having you end up having 100 people to call, and half of them won't have read the post. So on these situations, I recommend that you actually turn off commenting.
Okay.
And that you write, send me a CV or private message, because right away, if you're looking for someone who can read and write, you will find that out.
Fair enough.
And you will. A lot of ladies are lazy. That's just how it is, right? So they get 50 posts and they just post on each one and they don't even read them. So I turn off commenting, and even when people post, I actually, if they said, please PM me, I will turn off the commenting for them. And then obviously I get emails saying, why have you turned off my commenting? And then I say, well, because you said PM me only, which is the greatest way to actually get a narrow response that is more targeted to exactly what you're looking for. So I would be exquisite with writing where you live, if you're looking for a live-in, live-out, how old your kids are, what is your salary expectation. So be as detailed as you want. In relation to the nannies who are looking for jobs, you need to write that you have a reference. And a lot of people are not happy to write numbers to random people. But then they actually have to write a reference to me, and then they will have to write a second post, which will be approved in the actual discussion forum. And there again, I would also be as exquisite and detailed as possible. If you don't want to work in Marina, then write that. Write your experience, abilities, what you like doing, and make yourself different. The more you write, the more you're going to attract the right kind of person that you're looking for, because it's not just a one-way matchmaking here, it's a two-way, and just like any relationship, you need to work together.
Yeah. So thinking about a group, a Facebook group that has 66,000 people, even if they're not all active, how do you manage that? What are the upsides? What are the downsides? What are the challenges? What are your kind of approaches that you found to working with a big number like that?
Well, initially it was actually only me. I tried to on occasions get help, but then that doesn't work always. So obviously we live in Dubai, right? And we have an amount of very many cultures. People come from different places. We have different opinions. There's racial issues. So dealing with all that is quite hard. And this is also part of the vetting process, that as soon as I notice that a post is getting out of hand or there's banter, I try and limit and intervene and turn it off.
Yeah.
So there's this excellent function on Facebook where you can report things, which people do occasionally when there are rude comments and racially biased comments, and obviously that's not allowed.
Yeah.
So that is obviously a big challenge. It's also, from a responsibility point of view, even though it's free and to use for everyone, I still need to maintain it. I can't go on vacation for 3 weeks and do nothing, because then I'll have 1,000 posts when I come back. So it requires responsibility for me as well. So now I actually collaborate with a company called Rise, which is a wealth management platform specifically for nannies, which is an amazing tool.
Yeah, that's a great
Perfect fit.
Because they try and you can get a bank account, and most of these ladies have never ever had a bank account, so it makes them cheaper to send money home. It also provides a financial stability with a background, so they can go home and buy houses and homes, which is great. So I recommend everyone who has a nanny to put their own nanny on this Rise platform, to allow them to secure their financial future, because you have to think about that's actually what we are doing, and this is a kind of a way for us to I see it, we're educating their children, right? And they're doing such amazing work for us and our children that we need to give more than just salary back to them.
Do you have any anecdotes since you're running the group?
I have hundreds of them actually, but some of them are extremely rude and some of them are funny. I get everything from can you help me sell this handbag, to horrible stories with people who are locked in their rooms and need help calling the police. Obviously I'm not in any way authoritative to do that, so I will always, in any legal battle question, I will always refer to the police or lawyer. I'm not.
Of course, divergent.
And then you also have the one-offs where the match hasn't worked and the nanny has either run away or stolen. In most of these cases, they have hired someone without looking at references, right? So again, it comes back to the same message. And maybe they followed their gut feeling and it just wasn't right. But to 100% avoid bad nannies and bad mothers, it's very hard. It's impossible, right? But no, I mean, this goes with both managing the website and dealing with 66,000 people from 120 different countries, right? It's so it's exciting at times, and when I'm hormonal, I'm actually more harsh than I am otherwise. So catch me on the good days.
You just publish it.
Exactly. Don't right now.
Exactly. I'm not available.
No, and it's funny because usually now people know me, and I'm quite strict and harsh with the group. So when people go out of context and go out of conversation, I will block them and I will remove them from the group. If I see emoticons, I go crazy. I will block them from the group.
I love it. The war against emoticons.
No, but I mean, there's no point. And like, one challenge is also that a lot of people like to comment on things that have nothing to do with them. So a big issue is obviously when people
I've seen that.
put lower salaries than people expect.
Yeah.
Okay? But what all these other ladies who are commenting to saying, how can you put this low salary? Haha, this is ridiculous. Good luck. Go back to Philippines and find someone else. All those
I've
comments.
seen those.
No, but all those comments are not allowed, because you know what? There may be someone who is willing to work for that kind of salary.
Yeah.
As long as
I
that
agree.
salary is over the legal minimum, that's allowed. So then I get extremely furious for two reasons. Why are you on this post when you probably, if you have a job already, you should be working?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I love that.
Yeah. And two, if you have nothing to say that is related to the post, don't say anything
it.
at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I am very harsh. So when I post a post, no one will answer.
Can I say something? I think you're a very good leader. Everything, all the actions that you seem to be taking for the group is like, it's really who we want to have moderating something like this, you know? I think your sort of, the skills of leadership that you have are so useful for what you do with the group that it's directing it in the right direction, you know?
Well, thank you. I'm not sure everyone would call that same way, because I'm quite harsh, but I'm hoping that most people actually benefited from it rather than being personally attacked for their emoticons.
Yeah.
I love it. I think we just should put on the thumbnail the war against emoticons.
Yeah.
We'll leave it for
No, and then you have the issue when people start switching languages and start speaking other languages. I mean, there are rules for the site, and if you haven't read the rules, then you will not be allowed in the group. And that is like any group in the whole world.
Yeah.
You don't
It
follow
has
the
to
rules.
be,
Yeah.
There's no other way to moderate such an amount of people.
So what are the normal steps to hire a nanny? Let's say we found the one we think we want to give this a try. What do I do next?
Well, everyone has obviously different situations depending on if you have a PRO that you're involved in, or or you do it yourself, you go through an agency.
Yeah.
It's also very different depending upon the nationality of the nanny. So you obviously need to check what the requirements are for each. But usually it involves starting the paperwork with obviously the sponsor, which is typically the husband of the family. And you need to get papers translated. And this is what we mentioned before, that you need to get a medical done, but wait with that as long as possible.
Yeah.
And once the medical is done, you obviously you will stamp the visa and also make the deposit, which you will only get back once a nanny either gets a new job or leaves the country.
Yeah.
Correct.
Now, this is something that often comes up in the group when people want to leave. Some people end on good terms and some people end on bad terms. Now, legally, you are responsible for your nanny, so unless you are allowing her the 30 days, which she can find a new job, you have to actually put her on the plane and send her home. So, because this is a sponsorship and this is what it entails.
Yeah.
Now, I always think it's nice and human that if they want to stay, you give them that 30 days, but then you need to ensure that they actually get that job.
Yeah, because they're still in their
Yes. Just do the process correctly, find out what applies to your nationality, and follow the rules. There's AMR service, which is a great help. They're very helpful. They know a lot. They can do the work quickly and very efficiently. So the first step, I would start with them.
So our last question would be, which one are the main reasons why you would recommend maybe a nanny looking for a job or a parent looking for a nanny to join the Mary Poppins Dubai group?
Well, why don't I throw the question back at you? Have you joined?
I have joined.
And why did you join?
I love this.
Alright, tell us.
I did join because, and I told you this earlier, I found that Mary Poppins Dubai, out of all other groups that are out there, is very clean in terms of the commenting. Obviously, there is someone working behind the group. So I just felt that, someone here, I just felt that the group actually gave me some sort of reliability when finding someone to look after my child. And I've learned a lot, even through just reading. Like I was telling Annika, I'm the sort of user in Facebook that I read rather than just writing or commenting. And I learned a lot on how to post, what sort of people are serious, what people are perhaps just dropping their number there, because it's very well, the administration of the group, I would say, is very well managed. So congratulations to you. So I answered that question. So that's why you just joined my Poppins.
Thank you very much. No, that is one reason that you can go in all these other Facebook groups and there's a lot of ads, no context behind the messages, and it's not vetted clearly. And then from a social responsibility point of view, along with Rise, I hope that the more people join, that we can increase the financial stability for our nannies, which I think is a great gift that we can give to them. And also spreading knowledge, because just like this, you learn a lot, not only about obviously finding your maid, but rules and regulations and what's fair and what's not fair. There's lots of questions around gratuity and which days we should give off. I say common sense. What would you want to do? And there are rules and regulations that apply to this, and Dubai is getting very good about taking care of this, and for both parties. So
I've seen lots of changes. You've been here 11 years. You said almost. Same. I've been here for like 10 years, and it's amazing how in Dubai things progress. You know, I see always that the systems, when in terms of visa, residency, and stuff, they keep getting easier and easier. You know, so it's fantastic to see that now with the AMR services. Great help.
No, we need to protect everyone, right? And like I say, these are a huge part of our community and a huge part of our lives, and a lot of people wouldn't be able to be here without them. So there's a big shout out to all the nannies, and I hope everyone on the site can use it responsibly and do what it's there for, and get references is a big piece of advice for all the nannies, and as you as a mother, give them references when they leave, even if you do leave on a kind of a bad note. There's probably something they've been good at, and one, for example, I often see that a nanny has started with a family and very quickly they have to leave, and the recommendation will be that, you know what, she's not very good with small children, but she's great with good older children. So it's finding that match, and be nice and honest to these hard working ladies.
I like that you said, like, you see, it's very. Do you have any sort of templates for these recommendations? Because I like how you put it. Like, you gotta be honest when a recommendation not always is, oh, she's amazing, you know, not always the good side, the constructive side. It's also very useful, because maybe I'm not looking for someone that is good with small children.
Exactly.
So I would value that recommendation as well. That's a very, very nice point.
We don't have templates, because I think recommendations should be from the heart and not standardized. So
me and my structure.
I'm usually very structured.
Nina always tells me,
no, but just be honest and be willing to help them who have helped you for so long. And
do you feel like the protector of nannies?
I do.
I love that.
Yeah.
It shines through. It's so very clear. I love it.
Well, they protect our babies, right? So in turn, we have to protect them, I think.
Great.
And for you out there, thank you so much, Mama, for being watching our channel. It's a great pleasure to receive you every 2 weeks. We try to bring you the best stories to learn, to find inspiration. So don't forget to subscribe, to hit the bell button in order to get all the notifications whenever a new interview is up.
And for all the mamas out there, trust your instinct and
think like Mama.
Bye.
Thank you.